I am a Jedi, like my father before me.
Silly Jedi! Silly Jedi!
Remember, the Force will be with you, always.
You must unlearn what you have learned.
Hello, what have we here?
Hello there.
At last! Where have you been?
Nice of you guys to drop by.
Ah, good. New acquisitions.
I don't know. I have a bad feeling about this.
Hey everybody, welcome to Jedi Toy Master Star Wars Car Talk. And wowie wow, what a week it's been. It's been a whirlwind of a week. If you're a subscriber to Disney Plus, if you are a Star Wars fan, and obviously if you're watching this, chances are you are, and chances are you do have Star Wars Disney Plus, because according to some latest numbers out there, I think after the first or second day of Disney Plus, they already had about 10 million subscribers, which, you know, it's an amazing number, an amazing feat. However, you know, keep in mind that Disney Plus offers a 7-day free trial, so, you know, there's a lot of people that probably are just trying it out. You know, as crazy as it sounds, there's probably some people that are gonna like check it out for those 7 days and then maybe decide not to do it. Maybe wait until, I don't know, wait until the new year to sign up, because, you know, the holidays are around, and, you know, people don't really have as much time as they would like to sit and binge watch tons of Disney content and Marvel content and Pixar movies and National Geographics and all that stuff. So you might get a lot of that, but still, that's still some impressive numbers. And speaking of impressive, holy moly, The Mandalorian, it dropped on the same day as Disney Plus last week, last Tuesday, November 12th, and wow, you know, that first episode, wow. So anyway, spoiler alert real quick, just want to get that out of the way, in case you are the one person, Star Wars fan out there that hasn't seen it, or unfortunately, if you're overseas, as we know, a lot of countries are not getting Disney Plus until probably next year, which really sucks. And so unfortunately, there's a lot of you Star Wars fans that haven't seen the first 2 episodes of The Mandalorian. But the first episode dropped last Tuesday, November 12th. The second episode dropped that Friday, which is what, the 15th? And now it's going to be every Friday a new episode until the end of December. So it's 8 episodes total. And man, oh man, I don't even know where to start. I do not know where to start. I'm sure there have been already tons of videos, reactions, reviews, pointing out Easter eggs and what have you. Man, it's just so good. All I can say is bravo to Disney Plus, bravo to Disney, bravo to Lucasfilm, to Jon Favreau, to Dave Filoni, to that whole team for making, I mean, I don't even know, like to call this a TV show is almost like diminishing what it is, because it's really like a mini movie. It's really like watching like the first 39 minutes of a film, of a feature film, and then saying, all right, well, come back next week for the next one. And I think that's the point. It's meant to not just feel like a regular TV show. It's like it's really kind of like going back to what George Lucas intended Star Wars to be, which are episodic, like movie serials, you know, like the Flash Gordon and all that. And that's what this feels like. This feels like, first of all, it feels like an old Western. It has very much that Western man, the man with no name, I mean, you've heard the comparisons to Akira Kurosawa and all these other films and all these other genres, and it has definitely this, like, you know, this lone gunslinger Western feel to it. And it also has this, like, you know, a weekly movie serial feel to it, where every episode is complete and ends with a promise for more. Not so much a cliffhanger, although the first episode does end with a cliffhanger. So spoiler alert, we've all seen it. The big spoiler in the first episode is, you know, he's on a hunt, this high-end hunt, and it's supposed to be like something that he's picking up that's 50 years old. And when he finally comes across it, alongside IG-11, it's like some kind of circular pod. It looks like a little fancy a baby bassinet, and surely enough, inside is a baby, and it's a Yoda baby. So that's just like amazing that, you know, you have. I mean, that just blew my mind. And then that was the end of the first episode. So you're just like, what? And then the second episode is just like, it just kind of just like, you know, it just deposits a world where, yeah, there's a Yoda baby in this show. There it is. And the whole episode is about this relationship between. The second episode is basically about the Mandalorian and the Yoda baby, and this little side adventure that they go on because, you know, circumstances happen. And that's what's great about this show, that it's not like he has, like, there's the A plot and then there's the B plot, which is great. And it's great storytelling. It's great Star Wars storytelling. You got the A plot, the B plot. The A plot is he's got to figure out how to get this baby back to the people that paid him, that wanted it alive. Although I think he's already having kind of second thoughts as to, like, what's the deal with this baby? Like, why do they want this baby? And then the B plot is that in the second episode, you know, these like awful Jawas basically ransack his ship and, you know, like, just like strip it. You know, it's like, I live in New York, and it's like, you know, you leave your nice car parked somewhere in the South Bronx, and chances are it's gonna look like that. You're gonna see a bunch of Jawas just like, and just, you know, take, you know, you're gonna have no tires, no lights, you know, whatever. And that's what happens to his ship. And there's this whole side adventure where he has to go on to make a deal with them to get his parts back and all that. And I think his name is Cruel, which is the little what's his name? The Ugnaught, voiced by Nick Nolte, who is an amazing character. I have spoken. Amazing character. Helps him, and, you know, I mean, I'm all over the place, and I'm all over the place for good reason, because this show has literally blown my mind. I said to my wife, and I shot a text to a friend of mine immediately after watching the first episode, and I just said, you know, the first episode alone gave me a bigger Star Wars fix than the previous two movies. So, like, this movie felt more Star Wars to me than The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi. It felt more Star Wars than even Solo, and I actually liked Solo. I thought, for what it is, it was a very entertaining movie. I had my issues with it, and my issues with just certain things that they decided to do as far as explaining Han Solo's past and whatnot. But, you know, they went for it, and, you know, it is what it is, and it exists. So you got to deal with it. Is it a great, perfect movie? No. Is it entertaining? Yeah, my kids loved it, and, you know, but this show, this first episode and these two episodes of The Mandalorian have given me more Star Wars. Oh my gosh, that warm feeling. It's like a Star Wars, it's like a warm Star Wars blanket that you can just wrap yourself in, like a Snuggie, like a Star Wars Snuggie. It's a Mandalorian Star Wars Snuggie that you can just wrap yourself in and just smile and just have beautiful dreams of Star Wars and Kenner toys and all the great things about your childhood that you choose to remember and ignore all the bad. I mean, that's what these two episodes are all about. It definitely, you could definitely feel the influence of Dave Filoni, because he was he basically created the Clone Wars animated show along with George Lucas, and that was basically all George Lucas. And then he created Star Wars Rebels, which you know, that was post George Lucas, and you know, during the initial acquisition of Disney. But because Dave Filoni has such a strong connection with George Lucas, I mean, there have been quotes floating around that George Lucas has made comments like, you know, this is like the son, you know, this is like this guy, you know, he's pretty much like my son. And when you have George Lucas basically say that about you and train you basically in the Force and teach you everything Star Wars, you know, you could bank on the fact that Dave Filoni, if he's spearheading a project, if he's having influence in a project, a Star Wars project, it's as close as you're gonna get to something that George Lucas made, if George Lucas made it, or you know, and he definitely probably had influence. I wouldn't be surprised if Dave Filoni like has like literally like lunch meetings with George Lucas every now and then, and they get together and they hang out or whatever. I mean, or even if they like phone call and he's like running ideas past George, and you know, I that would not surprise me. And the Star Wars Rebels animated show definitely had that feel of Star Wars. Like it took place obviously in between the episode 3 and episode 4, and it definitely had that Star Wars feel. You know, this show, The Mandalorian, echoes that. It echoes that, and you're not following a Force user. You're not following, you know, like a rogue Jedi or you know, anything like that. You haven't even been introduced to a team. The Mandalorian is basically alone. I mean, he got a lot of help from this Ugnaught in these 2 episodes, but he's basically alone. And I guess in the next couple, as the episodes progress, he's going to develop more as a character, and you know, he'll get kind of like a more of a team, I think, behind him. But right now, this is like the time right after episode 6, right after Return of the Jedi. It's 5 years after the Empire has fallen. The New Republic hasn't officially been, you know, finalized. The galaxy is kind of like in turmoil because you know, you know, in the outer rim planets or whatever, you have, you know, warlords and criminals that are kind of like taking advantage of the fact that there's no empire to, you know, to keep them all in check, to, you know, keep their, and you know, and you have this like lawlessness, and so you have a lot of bounty hunters and people that are criminals that need to be brought to justice, and the Mandalorian is like the best. So man, it's just so good. I don't want to speak too much about the story itself, because you know, if you've watched them, I mean, there's tons of videos that you can watch that point out Easter eggs. I mean, there's so many Mandalorian Easter eggs, and I just wanted to give my reaction this week about on how great these 2 shows were, these 2 episodes. The whole Yoda baby thing is blowing my freaking mind. I am still haven't been able to fully process Yoda baby. Now I'm saying Yoda baby, it's not Yoda, and that's and what's interesting is that I'm watching it with family yesterday, and they were kind of like totally confused by it, even though right before we started watching it, I said, this takes place, this is 5 years after Return of the Jedi. Now, you know, they you know, they're not huge Star Wars fans. They love Star Wars, but they're not huge Star Wars fans. So, you know, that almost meant nothing, because they were like, okay, whatever that was. But as soon as they saw Yoda baby, my brother-in-law who's watching, he was like, wait, so this takes place way back? And I'm like, no, that's not Yoda. That's not Yoda. So, yeah, I could totally see this confusing a lot of people, similarly to how Solo probably confused a lot of people when you saw Darth Maul at the end. It definitely confused people, thinking that this took place before episode 1. Well, this episode, I imagine, probably confused a lot of people that are not huge Star Wars or huge into the Star Wars timeline. Once they saw Yoda baby, they were like, wow, so this is when Yoda was a baby. And it's like, no, 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 no. This is not Yoda. I'm just saying Yoda baby. We're all collectively saying Yoda baby because it's a cool word to say. It's funny. But also because we don't know what their species is called. So it's never been revealed what their species is called. All we know is that these Yoda people are very strong in the Force. They have very high midichlorian counts. And the only other Yoda person that we've ever seen was Yaddle, a female Yoda person who was on the Jedi Council in episode 1. Now, with that, I have a theory. Here's my theory, and it's very crazy. And I really hope Star Wars Theory, who's an amazing YouTube channel, I really hope they get to watch this. But here's my theory. So, this Yoda baby is at least 50 years old. Okay? This takes place 5 years after Return of the Jedi. So you got 5 years right there. All right. There's probably about 2, maybe 2 to 3 years that takes place between the original Star Wars, A New Hope, and Return of the Jedi. Like the time span of those 3 movies in galaxy time is maybe 2 to 3 years. So that now we're up to 8 years. From A New Hope to the Clone Wars, to episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, is about 20 years. So we're at 28 years, okay? Now, from episode 3 to episode 2, there was about another 3 years that took place. So let's tack on those 3. Now we're up to 31 years. From episode 2 to episode 1 was 10 years. So we add 10 years to that. That's 41 years. So between Yoda baby and episode 1, The Phantom Menace, 41 years, roughly 40 to 41 years have gone by. In episode 1, we see Yaddle and we see Yoda on the Jedi Council. And in episode 2, 10 years later, no more Yaddle on the Jedi Council. My theory is that that child, that is the love child of Yoda and Yaddle. You heard it here first. Yoda and Yaddle had a child. They had a child. Quite possibly during the time of the Phantom Menace, they had that child. Which is why Yoda was so bent out of shape about Anakin being too old and like we don't need any more controversy, because he himself was living with a controversy, knowing that every time they sat in that Jedi Council and he looked at Yaddle on the other side of that circle, he knew that they had a love child together. That love child was in secret. So here we are. That love child probably was already a couple years old. 40 years later, or 10 years later, Yaddle's no longer on the Jedi Council. She steps down because she has to raise this kid. She has a baby. She goes into hiding. And then here we are, fast forward to The Mandalorian. We see Yoda baby, who looks just like Yoda. That is Yoda's child. That is the love child of Yoda and Yaddle. You heard it here first, guys. That's my theory. That's my 2 cents. Of course, the another theory that could pan out is that it's a clone, because the scientist that we see in the first episode, he's wearing like a Imperial scientist outfit, and he has like a patch on his arm, and which is like a Camino patch, which is the cloners and all that. Oh my gosh, this show is so amazing. I'm gonna end it here because this is too much. It's just too much to think about. But if you enjoyed the first 2 episodes of Mandalorian, please let me know in the comments below. What was your favorite moment of those 2 episodes? And let me know about what you think about my Yoda Yaddle love child theory. Let me know in the comments below. Please like and subscribe. Check out some of our other videos. Check us out on Instagram at Jedi Toy Masters on Instagram. And thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next week. May the Force be with you.
So what I told you was true, from a certain point of view.
I'm glad you're here to tell us these things.
You're going to find that many of the truths we cling to depend greatly on our own point of view.
What are you talking about?